or even the World UNESCO Heritage Sites that are located, at least 4 or 5 of them in Ethiopia, from the Aksum obelisk to the Lalibela Church, as well as the mosque, one of the first mosques in the world outside of Mecca, and so on and so on. And Danakil Depression, one of the lowest point in Africa, or in the world for that matter. I wish we could tell you. Unfortunately, we're not here for that. We're here because of this event. You're all aware, almost everybody is well aware. As I said, we're gathered here because of the speech you made at the rotunda of the Georgia State Capitol last Thursday, March 31st. I'll be honest with you, like many of us here, I had so many emotions, from shock to disbelief to anger and disappointment. You name it, I've had it. It took a while for me to even think about what I was going to say or share with my friends. Even not to even consider not sharing that video, because I would be propagating falsehood and lies. But I believe strongly that the more people know on both sides, the more people know about facts, they'll be better equipped to handle the truth. Simply put, it was a huge wake-up call, and we vowed that such event based on lies and misinformation cannot remain unanswered. So that's why we are here. However, that event, that speech not only angered us, but galvanized Ethiopian Americans in Georgia, the whole United States, and around the world. You'd be amazed how many calls that we've got. So sometimes good things happen from bad events and bad outcomes. Senator, we strongly believe what makes this country is not the vast military wealth or military might. Rather, it's the freedom of expression and the rule of law. While we don't fault interns Hannah and Hassan, I want to name them in person because I have to respect their opinion. Their ability to express their views regarding the current conflict in Ethiopia, they have every right to do that. But we are thoroughly dismayed and disappointed that our elected officials that were paraded around that event of March 31st did not verify the facts, vet the veracity of the information, or speak to any one of us in your district or their districts. That was the disheartening part. Senator Jackson, the pain and disappointment of the speech, as well as the Resolution 800, cut through our heart and soul. Where information that is ill-advised and inaccurate, but it also championed at face value by elected senators. As importantly, as member of the clergy, you should be the shepherd of the truth. One that refrains from passing judgment hastily. I know you don't. While we believe your comments were no doubt sincere and from the heart, the unintended consequence of not taking the time to gather or check facts has brought us here today. We hope today's program will give you some insight and give you some information about, number one, the real perpetrators and instigators of the conflict. Two, acknowledgement of the suffering of Ethiopians, all Ethiopians, not just a small group, but millions and millions of Ethiopians suffered. So that acknowledgement is as important. As well, despite living under 27 years of repression under the TPLF, Ethiopians have no problem with Tigrayans. This war is not about Amharas or Oromos, about Tigrayans. It's about the divisive ideology of a small group of TPLF operatives. So we don't have any problems calling what it is. You will also learn that TPLF not only hijacked Ethiopia's fledgling democracy and attempt for prosperity, but it also held aspiration and hopes of poor and young Tigrayans, and pushing them to their demise very early. Lastly, Senator, the pain and suffering of every Ethiopian, whether in Amhara, Tigray, Oromo, Benishangul, and Somali, for all of us, at least for most of us, it pains us. There's no difference between one or the other. Our struggle is to fight for the unity and sovereignty of Ethiopia and its people, not about what government is in power or not. So we want the country to remain united and the people to live in prosperity and in peace. So these are some excerpts from the Senate resolution, which highlights genocidal war, which is not fact, which Professor will address. Another misinformation misstatement is November 4th, unelected president, Prime Minister Abiy declared war on November 4th. There are two mistakes and misstatements. So the other reason for our pain is not just people of goodwill and good intention are misinformed, but there are a group of entities that are deliberately misinforming the public in general, whether CNN, BBC, New York Times. They are deliberately misinforming the public at large and deliberately telling one side of the narrative. What their intentions are, only God knows. So that's part of our anger, not just that person, but the actions. And last but not least, Amnesty International, which has published in the since November 2020, the beginning of the war, about 23 articles and publications. Only 3 were against the actions of TPLF. 23. I mean, people are dying on all sides. So how come is it only just one-sided? So this kind of reminded me of the Prophet as a Muslim person, Prophet Muhammad saying, in the years of deception, which is before the last Messiah comes, it's hard to tell the truth. The truthful are the liars, and the liars are the truthful. People lose all sense of notion and about who's credible and who's not. Liars get good at their craft, and they don't have any boundaries. This typically reminds me of where we are today. So we don't know who's telling the truth and who's not. Unfortunately, people are suffering from people who have nothing to do with the war are suffering. So hopefully, after today's presentation, you will have some insight of what our sufferings are. Lastly, Senator, this is our ask. The pain and suffering of every Ethiopian, whether Amhara, Tigray, Oromo, Benishangul, or Somali, pains us all. Senator, we are gathered here for redemption. Not only to learn the pain and suffering that this war has brought on all of Ethiopia and Ethiopians, but to acknowledge it first. We want you to look in the eyes of all your constituents here and acknowledge their pain and speak to the hurt that your actions unintentionally caused and as well as your Georgia Senate colleagues. So I hope you will do that today. So without further ado, Professor Sahai is going to do the next presentation. Thank you very much.